was another guy with him. Little short, younger guy.
Yeah, his name?
I don't know his name.
This is Charleston White.
The short guy.
Just hours earlier, he begged for ops to pull up.
They were leaving because I thought they were still in the building.
Though done many times before, it would be this time someone decided to show.
So when I ran out and asked where they are, a guy said that they was in the bathroom.
What if I told you this wasn't a mistake? It was a part of the plan.
It's a.
This is the story of a 14-year-old convicted murderer who progressed to sitting in council meetings.
Or life because no one has corrected the problem.
Working with police, trying to save kids from the exact lifestyle he came from.
I believe my message, as well as the people that's connected to my organization, as far as my colleagues, have some very powerful stories of redemption.
Now he's famous for mocking the dead.
May they all like King Von.
Calling the police on rappers.
It's my dream to put a in jail.
And turning chaos into business.
Say, T.I., listen, if your boy jump on me, y'all will bury that yellow motherfucker.
So which one is real? The activist, the citizen?
And we have been pleading.
Or the man who figured out how to turn outrage into clout?
I keep a goddamn gun for whatever.
Karma's real, and you're going to get what you're looking for, bro. I promise.
By the end of this story, you're going to realize that question doesn't have an answer, because the confusion is the product.
What's the first question? Let me see how old ass got
I'm
in
done. Get them back their money. They won't let me answer.
This is the cap story of Charleston White.
You got cap in your raps. You got cap in your raps.
Charleston White was born in Arlington, Texas. At 14 years old, he was involved in a robbery that ended in murder. And just like that, a teenager was facing a capital murder charge in the state of Texas. Now, most people want to frame this as the beginning of a redemption story, but it wasn't. It was a test run. Because in order to survive that situation, Charleston White did something that would define the rest of his life. He adapted. And once you learn how to survive by adapting, you don't stop. You just apply it to the next system. He testified against his friends, and instead of spending his life in prison, he was sent to juvenile detention until the age of 21. He didn't beat the system. He learned how to do whatever he can to get outside of it. After getting out, he enrolled in Texas Wesleyan University, earned a degree in criminal justice, and in 2012, he founded the Hype Foundation, helping youth people excel.
I believe my message, as well as the people that's connected to my organization, as far as my colleagues, have some very powerful stories of redemption.
Working with police, local government, schools, speaking to kids who are heading down the exact path he came from.
Or life because no one has corrected the problem, and we have been pleading.
Now, on paper, this is where the story is supposed to end. Young man makes one grave mistake, pays for it, and works the rest of his life to help others avoid it. But that's not what happened. He started posting online, speaking the same messages, trying to reach a wider audience, and almost nobody was watching. No traction, no motion. And that's when something clicked. Because Charleston White had already learned how to survive the streets. He already learned how to survive the system.
Farrakhan hair slick to the side. We don't want to hear nothing from no with no good motherfucking hair.
Now he was learning something new, the algorithm. And helping people doesn't get attention, but controversy does. The first sign that something had shifted came when he went online to discuss Nipsey Hussle's death. Not to mourn, not to reflect, but to mock.
How he died? They say he got shot. Good. He got what he deserved. Yeah, Slim 400 is burning in hell with Nipsey Hussle and Monster Cody.
He did the same thing with King Von.
May they all die like King Von. May they all die like Nipsey Hussle.
2 young black men whose deaths he claimed to be an advocate against. His justification was that he was showing the community the consequences of street life, that this was a lesson.
We talking about free and Nipsey Hussle killer. Y'all holler free everybody else. Y'all holler free YMW.
The problem with that logic is that a lesson requires a classroom. What Charleston White was building was an audience.
Nobody laughing at dirt like they were laughing at me when I went to jail.
He would be the internet's first character to proudly take on the label of being a snitch.
Roll a check my ass can cash, so be it.
I'm calling the police.
He's a documented gang member. Young Thug made a threat, and the nigga had a gun that was with him, and Thug stood by him.
I'm the one that puts the feds on brick bacon. I keep telling you, how do you think I be playing?
At first, people thought it was just a character until those tapes began to surface.
He pulled off the hammer back on the gun.
No, he was a snitch, a tool he would use as leverage, and soon he would have his shot at the big leagues.
Look at Charleston White's head.
Snitch ass.
Once Charlie realized the formula worked is when the real cap began. Now the system needed scale.
Say, I'm pressing charges against Soulja Boy homeboy.
Charleston's first mainstream cap will be with the greatest cap of all time, Soulja Boy.
I say, bro, you maced me.
In 2022, the Unk of Cap would not only douse the Soulja Boy clique members with mace, but he called the feds as well.
Hey, I hit that mother one more time just for goodness sake. Hey, that Soulja Boy said, what the pulled out some pepper spray and sprayed it in the air. Nigga ain't even with the spraying it in a circle. Said, say, I'm pressing charges against Soulja Boy homeboy. I got my people contacting that Atlanta district attorney. The rappers have threatened to ban me. They got videos with guns.
He didn't just snitch, he turned it into content.
Threatening my life and everything. I'm finna see if I can get them niggas a RICO case.
The Cap story worked and would keep both names running headlines for days. The antics will place Charlie right in the sights of one who has his own Cap story, DJ Akademiks.
Spoken quite a lot about like people like, you know, King Von, who passed away.
Becoming the Unk of Cap.
You've turned his death into almost a celebration.
Well, tell that King Von dead, all of them gon' die.
That same year, he got into a back and forth with T.I.
Boy, Charleston White, you was a bitch, boy. And we was about to whoop your ass when you come back down here.
Over comments he made about T.I.'s son, King Harris.
Why you go in on that boy like that, his son?
Cause I think his son ugly, and I think he's unruly, misbehaved, little yellow little boy.
Say, T.I., listen, if your boy jump on me, y'all will bury that yellow. I shoot him right in his goddamn throat.
The feud escalated into a public war where White challenged T.I. to produce what he called paperwork, claiming T.I. was the real cooperating witness in various cases.
And you better tell him you work for Crime Stoppers. He talking about I got a badge. You had a badge, so I had a badge, T.I. Remember?
Don't play with mine. I ain't finna say no name. I don't play police game. If I go to jail, it's gonna be for something.
Whether it was true or not was not the point. It never was. It was the reaction and the fact that a 40-something-year-old convicted murderer turned activist was arguing with T.I. And this is where things started to get confusing, because on one side, Charleston White is disrespecting the very culture he claims to be protecting. On the other side, nobody is touching him. No retaliation, no consequences. Just more clips, more attention, more clout. He isn't losing control. He's controlling the reaction.
It's only two outcomes of this life, right? So why they so mad now?
Every time he says something outrageous, he already knows what comes next. The threats, the anger, the viral clips. And then that's when he flips the script and goes to, well, he's just a citizen. He'll call the police.
It's my dream to put her in jail.
Charleston White figured out something most people never will. If you can control both sides of the reaction, you can say anything and nobody can touch you.
You and now another person ain't gonna do nothing to me. And I ain't worried about none of y'all. I ride around this city like I can't be touched.
Charlie was just getting started.
Hey, nigga, let me tell you something. Nigga, I got a murder on my background, bitch. You a basketball playing bitch.
He continued his rage bait tirades by stating a popular conservative take, that George Floyd was nothing but crackhead causing confusion.
Yeah, nigga, George Floyd was a dope fiend. He a long, Lou Alcindor looking dope fiend. He died of a fentanyl overdose. George Floyd. And I've been saying it since he died. Matter of fact, I'm re-releasing my album, dissing George Floyd.
A close member of Floyd, former NBA player Stephen Jackson, would take the bait and found out what fuels these risky tirades: guns, and plenty of them.
For anybody that feels they have to talk about somebody who's fighting for their life or talk about somebody who's dead to make themselves look better, nigga, you dying inside. Karma's real, and you gonna get what you looking for, bro. I promise.
My time coming. Well, let my mama tell you. Everybody time coming. Basketball playing, boy. You ain't gonna do nothing but get on here and talk.
It was clear what he was really after: the fame.
I've been talking by George Floyd for a year. Ain't nobody nothing.
And then he would cross a line. A line is a boundary, and Charlie had none. And that's what most people thought would end everything. By 2023, he had become one of the most watched figures in Black social media, not because people respected him, because people could not stop watching. Then came the beef that nobody was ready for, where it stops being entertainment and starts getting personal. Gillie the Kid. The tension between him had already been building. Gillie had dismissed Charles publicly, reducing him to a nobody, asking the question that would stick with him: what is he known for?
When I ask you, what do you know him for? Think about it. You don't even know. You know him for disrespecting that's known.
But if you Google my name, Gillie, you'll see. Matter of fact, if you Google Charleston White, hyped, H-Y-P-E-D.
Charleston took it personally.
His mama can die tomorrow and I'll laugh.
And all this over a Pop Hunter disagreement.
Oh, no, all this because you say you'll slap me, nigga.
But then, in July of 2023, something bigger happened. Gillie's son was shot and killed. And for a moment, Charleston White sounded like a completely different person.
Yeah, man, my heart go out to Gillie. And nigga, I don't even like Gillie.
He went online and offered condolences, defended Gillie. For the first time in a long time, he sounded human.
When I woke up and saw that news, nigga, yeah, my heart ached for that man. So I ain't gonna know I'm wrong and continue to be wrong as a man. Gillie, I apologize, my nigga.
And if the story ended there, you could argue that everything that happened up to this point was just a performance, shock tactics. But it didn't end there, because not long after that, Charleston White came back.
Oh, okay. Probably about another 2 days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
All right, love you.
All right, love you too.
All right.
Okay.
Say, Gillie, wouldn't you want to hear your son's voice just one more time?
And he didn't just retract the apology, he flipped it.
I remember how you and Wallow would cry.
He started mocking Gillie's son publicly, repeatedly.
You and Wallow would cry.
Turning one of the worst moments in a father's life into content for a reaction.
Oh, my son!
And that's the moment people's feelings started to change.
Because you could justify controversy. Shit, you could justify disrespect depending on how far you're willing to stretch that logic. But there is no version of mocking a grieving father's murdered son that translates into helping the youth.
That's when people stopped asking what Charleston White was doing and started asking why they were still watching. And whether Charleston was ever in this to help the youth or himself. Nevertheless, Charlie Cap would continue his run, beefs with other creators.
That song Camera say bam, died it. That must had a long
boxing matches and more. Most of the content would be the cause of Charleston one by one being demonetized on platform after platform. That's when he would decide to take his act on the road.
Lakers chance and run ass. Pull out some money though.
Booking comedy shows where he would spew this rhetoric in person.
Pull out some money. I hit you on your goddamn head. Hit you on your goddamn head.
His system stopped working, but Charlie would adapt again, demonetized on all major platforms, but still getting paid from interviews.
So one thing about it, this will get one nigga off of me, this will get 10 niggas off.
And when the well runs dry, create conflict for clicks and views.
So why is it that they so mad about Gillie's son?
But every system has hiccups, and sure enough, Charleston would have one of his own, where the story takes a turn nobody expected. The viral moments for Charlie Cap begin to stack up, but something was off about these moments.
I keep a goddamn gun for whatever. Hold on, don't give a f about
Some of them came off rather unbelievable.
shit, nigga. I keep a motherfucking gun.
Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
I keep a motherfucking gun.
There would be one podcast appearance he would make where the cat was finally out of the bag.
Charleston's appearance on the Go Crazy podcast wouldn't end like his usual interviews.
What the fuck is wrong with you? What?
How you an angry and always popping your you a happy nigga?
The host began cutting his sentences short.
So now you contradicting shit because when I be checking you out, you popping shit.
Downplaying his answers.
That's why I don't like talking to young
nigga. I ain't young.
How are you?
I ain't young.
On top of that, kept a loaded pistol of their own.
Where he would claim that the young dude who he was having the back and forth with before the podcast, he pulled out his gun and you know to make it more visible so Charleston White could see that he was strapped.
Well, a little young dude down there, dark-skinned dude, had a big old pistol hanging out of his pocket.
Charlie will peep the scene and decided to cut his own pay.
Your first question your first question was.
What's the first question? Let me see if my old ass got no memory.
Get them niggas back their money. They want to let me answer the question. Get them niggas back.
The news would be what led up to that moment. You see, Charlie was a master strategist of plays, pre-planned skits that would seem to come off as real, but was nothing more rather than different agreeing parties on improvised scenarios. End result, days of internet coverage would ultimately lead to massive income.
The whole thing they approached us on anyway. They wanted to pull a publicity stunt.
A viral moment,
They wanted to pull a viral moment.
But these dudes provided receipts of Charleston White and his team actually planning this out.
He was gonna have to tase somebody coming out of the audience trying to run up on him when we get to talking about the sexy red stuff.
After the podcast refused to participate in a scenario where someone would get maced, the energy shifted, as well as Charleston's aura.
You have to be a special type of clout-hungry, clout-thirsty insect to want to pull this off.
What a lot of people question happened to be true. He doesn't just control the reaction, he scripts it.
Like, it's like, why? You're 50, bro. Like, do podcasts and give us ideology.
There's no telling what's real out of anything you've seen, creating his own sector that would eventually catch like wildfire.
Who that?
Take the second exit on Westchester Avenue.
I need to get to the hospital quick.
But just like every fire, it was beginning to burn out. It began to seem like the lights were starting to dim. Well, one afternoon, it was clear everyone wasn't with the games. It would be Charlie's turn to get that head cracked. This would happen when White would do one of his usual call-outs for anyone to pull up. Well, this time someone took the offer and would catch one-eyed Willie dozing off in a barber seat. Sure enough, White would end up in the police station, living up to his self-proclaimed snitch title.
There was another guy with him, little short, younger guy.
Yeah, his name?
I don't know his name.
Did he do anything, or was he just...
Nah, he pointed. The short guy, I ran to the car to get my gun as they was leaving because I thought they were still in the building.
One crack across the noggin wouldn't stop old Charlie.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
But the image was past fading. The one to really show him will be Oschino Vasquez.
But he's so diabolical, God said, you know what? I'm gonna sneak on his butt for that, because that's not right, Charleston White.
Philly rapper, former Hype Foundation ally, someone who had actually extended Charleston White hospitality when he came through Philly, and someone who, unlike every other person who tried to engage White's chaos on his terms, decided not to fight back. He decided to make White the punchline.
Oschino, I knew it was something to you. I said it has to be something to this stutter. Why he got a speech impediment and trying to get out so much to say.
Charleston's shock value wouldn't cash out like it used to, going to his now familiar move of talking about Oschino's dead child.
And you've been going back and forth for a couple of years, ever since I said Gillie son. After I said Gillie son, I came back and said, yo boy.
Finally, the well dried and people got tired of the disrespectful antics.
I really think, something wrong with me.
But Oschino would make it worse, making videos that were not angry, not threatening, just funny.
And I understand what she was doing. Like I said before, it's called rage baiting.
Here's the genius of it. Charleston White's entire machine runs off a reaction. The bigger, more serious the reaction, well, the more fuel he has. Anger feeds him, threats feed him, but comedy starves him.
Oschino coined the phrase that briefly became a meme, "I cooked your toast."
What it really is I'm cooking this fucking toast.
And for the first time in his internet career, Charleston White started to lose control of his own narrative because someone was funnier.
Say Cheese, you bigger than YouTube. You're not bigger than my son. He's 16. You 5'5", you're not bigger than my son. You're not bigger than anything.
In December of 2025, in what fans quickly labeled the most significant moment in the beef, Charleston White announced he was done with YouTube, done with interviews, he was retiring.
So I want to get off YouTube, get into streaming, but not being a streamer.
You see, Say Cheese, you tell him you're not doing YouTube no more. You're not doing interviews no more. You can't believe you let...
This hurts me more than anything.
He let Oschino on his platform to talk about him and how he quit. He tired of this. Bro, you met your match.
Oschino had trolled the troll into retirement.
It didn't last. They never do. But the fact that good old Charlie was able to use that as a moment to troll speaks volumes.
Charleston White is not invincible, and the thing he is most dependent on is being the one who controls the temperature of every room he enters. The moment someone else controls the temperature, he has nothing.
I have a problem with rappers and I listen to rap.
A convicted killer who testified against his friends to survive, who came home and built something real that helped the kids in a real community, who then discovered that helpfulness does not trend, who built an antagonist persona so effective that it made him famous, still uploading, now doing comedy shows mixed with plays. But the usual love Charlie would get from the community began to fade. The same audience he claimed to be saving was now watching him for the exact opposite reason.
Why would you go to an HBCU? To promote black education. Why would you speak to I went to a white school. But what happened?
So now the question isn't whether Charleston White is right or wrong. It's how many people are about to copy it.
Hey, listen. Hold on, don't. What's up?
Because once the internet rewards something, it doesn't ask if it's right. It just asks for more of it. And if you think Charleston White is calculated, wait until you see how DJ Akademiks perfected it.
If you like this one, you'll probably like my other cap stories, including DJ Akademiks. And if you really want to support this page, please join my Patreon. A lot of times I release these videos there early, and I have them unfiltered, uncut, and raw. Also, please add me on my social media, Instagram, X, and TikTok, because you never know what'll happen to this page. Well, anyways, you know how we like to end our videos over here at Moxy Approve, right? With that water. I'll see y'all here next time on Moxy Approve.